Alright. This is take 3. And this Greason is very tired of this crap camera. I can't say curse words in the first few minutes from what I remember about YouTube's algorithm, or rules, I guess, of this camera crashing. This camera is not very good. I would not recommend Aluratek. This was a cheap camera I got a while ago from Best Buy. I should get a good one, a better one someday. Alright, now, I recorded myself just doing stuff on the computer just to see if it crashes again, and it did not after like 30 minutes. So this time, I'm going to get down to business. Alright, so in the previous video, we talked about concert going experiences and the ones I've been to. This, and the one I forgot about, I put it in the description, was Yahweh Nail Gun. Yahweh Nail Gun, it's spelled YHWH Nail Gun. And they are pretty much newcomers to music, and I don't know how long they've really been in the industry. I don't know too much lore about them, because there isn't too much, which is why I visited their website a little bit before I saw their concert, and I found out that they were playing live in Phoenix, with Morgan Garrett as the introductory act, whatever you want to call it. And it was fantastic. The set list was pretty short, but it's because Yahweh Nail Gun doesn't have that huge of a library of music yet. I'm excited for what they're releasing next, because I really liked 45 Pounds, but I'm not going to talk about Yahweh Nail Gun too much, because I'd like to talk about my favorite albums of the year so far, and then later I'm going to do my favorite albums of this current decade and the previous decades from that some other time. But Morgan Garrett was the intro act, and that was an insane intro act. It was, if you don't know who Morgan Garrett is, which I imagine is everyone that's currently viewing this, Morgan Garrett, I don't know if they're local, but they are a solo artist, and emphasis on solo. It's basically you're watching a one-person show, but it's very dark, very experimental, very unique. The way it introduced to me is where I walk into this really cool stage. The location's called Futuro Coffee. It used to be called something else, but you know, they changed their name, and they had this really cool venue room for musicians, and Morgan Garrett was just awkwardly standing there. There was also a woman that was ushering us in, and she said, "This show is gonna be amazing." And it was just kind of low key, and I liked it. I'm guessing they just were one of the tour managers that came with them. And the first thing I hear out of Morgan Garrett's mouth was strobe light. And I had no idea what was coming up. It was this insane light show. Absolutely insane light show. Like, it was a strobe light. And they had this music playing in the background while they kind of like writhed around in front of everybody. And there was one moment where they would give me direct eye contact, well, because I was standing in front while doing this, and it was like actually creeping me out. I was very enthralled by the experience, and it eventually turns into them acting out the performance as the music plays, and they do stuff like pull out a guitar and hold it like a battle axe while clenching their jaw and making it kind of sideways, really going for the demented goblin. They were going absolute goblin mode. The vocal range was insane. The really hard-hitting sound was crazy. There's also a moment where the lights turn off, and they pull out their cell phone and turn on the light and like use it for like a low-key type performance in between. And it was really unique and cool, and I highly recommend listening to Morgan Garrett's music. I got one of their vinyls, and they were a very sweet person to talk to. Now, let's move on to what the topic of this video is. So this is day 3. This is my 3rd take. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, because I've done this twice already, and this is my 3rd time, and I feel like I'm gonna think I said something earlier when I really didn't. But I'm gonna be talking about my vinyl collection, but not everything in my vinyl collection. I'm talking about my favorite albums that I own. Now, I have plenty of favorites that I don't own, whether that be I just don't have it yet, because I usually like to buy them from stores to support them, because I could get whatever the hell I wanted from, Discogs. But I think it's more exciting to, like, oh, they have it, oh my god, or, like, especially at a thrift store, it's like, whoa, they actually have the thing what, they actually have, I get so excited, like, it's absurd how excited I get. My friends tell me to shut up, but I can't help myself. It's just so cool to see this album I love in the flesh, and I've always wanted. But these are my 10 out of 10 vinyls that I own, based on sound alone. I basically listened to all of these many times digitally through Spotify, and that's what made me want to get them. I would do it in order of how I got them, but I feel like that would be very hard for me to remember how I got most of these, because there's some Mandela effect stuff going on in my head for some of these. Yeah, if you don't know what a vinyl is, look it up. In my previous 2 takes, I explained what vinyls were. This time, just look it up. They could do a lot better explaining than I can do it. But it's a disc that spins, and you put a needle on it, and it plays music, and they've been around since the 18th century. I like how I said I'm not going to explain it. Meanwhile, I'm explaining it. Look it up. I would dawdle about it a lot, but I actually don't really know the history of vinyls and how they were conceptualized, what they're even made of. I don't even think they were made with vinyl in the first place. They were made of some kind of plaster, I think. I might just be lying. I don't even remember how they're made or what they're made of. So, look it up. Look it up. Now, I'm going to be showing these albums from A to Z, and usually by Rate Your Music's way of sorting artists by name, so it's going to be usually like last name, excluding the as well. And speaking of the first album I want to talk about is the Avalanches. Maybe you can try to guess which artist name I'm going to say before I reveal it. That could be a little game for you at home. But this is one of my favorite electronic albums of all time, Since I Left You by the Avalanches. The album cover is a painting based on a real boat disaster. I forget what the boat is called. I don't think it was like the Mary Celeste or anything. I'm not going to have obscure references for it. But this is a album that kind of shaped who I am, and my interests and what I like to draw, what I like to... It's such a blue album, and I don't mean that in a jazzy way. It's so colorfully blue. It is like one of my favorite at least, summer albums of all time in terms of aesthetics, and it's super unique for the time it was made. This was made in 2000, and while sampling has been around for a long time, like I've heard albums from, the early 90s that sampled heavily, but this one goes all in on samples. Now this vinyl is a gatefold. A gatefold means that it opens up, usually for two vinyl releases, because vinyls don't store very much data on them. And by data, I mean physical data, because it's, you know, a shape. There's no files on it. It's just, you know, a physical shape that a needle goes over. About only 15 to 20 minutes can be put on one side of a vinyl, and on the other side, same amount of time. This is a 10-inch vinyl, I'm pretty sure. And this one is gatefold, which means it has two vinyls on it, which means, you know, 15 to 20, 15 to 20, and then on the other one, 15 to 20, 15 to 20, and we're labeled in A and B, C and D, and E, F, G, H, if you have a really big vinyl that we'll be getting to eventually. Now, this one has two, like I mentioned before, and it's gatefold, and it has the full painting of the disaster in it, and this huge box of text right here. This box of text is copyright for every copyrighted sound effect that isn't, you know, in the public domain that they had to refer to. And it's a huge block of text, if you could not tell. It's really small, and I really like that. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Very aesthetically pleasing vinyl as well. I love the album cover for this. I like it much, much more than the 20th anniversary version that's on Spotify. It's replaced the original release, which annoys me. But I've gotten into the Avalanches. Oh, Jesus. I've gotten into the Avalanches through not since I left you. Jeez. What's it called? We Will Always Love You. And that album shaped a lot of my interests as well. I think all three of the Avalanches albums are fantastic. I really love Wildflower as well. I think that one is actually underrated. It has one of the most unique styles I've ever heard from an album, but I'll get into the Avalanches discography later. This album is fantastic. It's like a whole DJ set for a whole hour. I can barely stand listening to one song from it on a playlist. I have to listen to the whole thing in a row. It's an experience. It feels like you're in a pool at a public place that might not be so perfect, but the cloudiness is there, the saltiness in the air is there, and it's just people having fun, being low key, drinking. It's such a great thing for me to like kind of meditate to, or like just get lost in the sound, because it's so rich. And with tracks like Frontier Psychiatrist being quite an insane range of different samples from really obscure pieces of media that I can't remember the two people's names from the Avalanches. Is there a name on here? I don't think so, but it's two guys, and they just had a huge vinyl collection of just random things like golf training vinyls and like stand-up comedy vinyls, and they just found a way to take little snippets of music from these vinyls that were made by somebody, we don't know who, and made it into this insane release. There's some actual, you know, songs that you might be able to recognize from this within this thing, and not even everyone has figured out how many samples or which samples go to where on this album, because there's so many of them. Now, this release, this one is the, let's see, the 2557 356 release. I don't know which year, but Frontier Psychiatrist on this vinyl is different than the one on digital releases, and it throws me off. The stand-up comedy bits, the voices are different. I'm guessing they used a different version of that like release or something, or maybe they did it themselves due to copyright. I don't really know, but it throws me off. I don't know if this is like the original sound, or if the digital version is the original sound, but it's definitely interesting, and there's probably some talks about it online. I just haven't looked it up, but it's definitely interesting for sure. Still a great song. but it is weird hearing Randy-Gazoo, let's have it to you. And when I count 3. No, I want to hear Randy-Gazoo, let's have it to you. And when I count 3. I want to hear that. I don't want to hear this quiet man. I want to hear some gravel and apples, you know? Yeah, I can talk about this album for hours, but I'll save that for when I talk about the Avalanches more. I'd love to own their 2 other albums on vinyl as well. That's one down, and we are 15 minutes in. Jeez. Next up is the first vinyl I've ever purchased. And you're probably not going to be able to get the name, but let's just say it starts with B, and it has the word Belgium in French in the title. Well, now that sounds super specific, so now you might know who it is, especially if you know who I am. Hello, friends. Boogie Belgique, Nightwalker Volume 1. Now, this might be a really weird pick from me, due to the fact that this album isn't really trying to... I guess it's a weird thing to say. It's not a super, it's not full of themes and ideas and concepts and emotional packages that are insane to open up. There's nothing really like that in this. But there's something that speaks to my soul within it. It has such an atmosphere, and it's called Nightwalker for a reason. Now, it does say Volume 1. There is a Volume 2. I would have it on vinyl, because I love that release as well, but they just never did. They never released it on vinyl. I'm pretty sure Boogie Belgique is still making music. Their last release was in 2022, and I like that album quite a bit. I forgot what it was called, though, because the titles of their albums are a little bit off. But they have not too astounding of a history. I just know the person that conceptualized Boogie Belgique's style was Oswald. I know that's their first name, but they're from Belgium, or Germany at the very least, a certain part of Europe. And that's the only place they really play live, which is a shame, because I'd love to see them live. I really like their music, I really like their aesthetic. It's electro swing. Now, when you hear me say electro swing, you're probably thinking of, My Little Pony characters with top hats and goggles being edgy. That's not what this is. This is electro swing. It doesn't really sound like Caravan Palace, though. It has much more of a focus on the swing part than the electro part. The drum beats are electronic, but it does sample old music. It uses actual jazz instrumentation. It uses string instruments. It uses guitars. It uses a lot of really unique instruments. And this is in their earlier in their catalog, so it might not sound as good as their new music, but there's something about this one. It's just solid all the way through. It's super dark, but melodic and just pretty and nice, and it really got me into the Art Deco art style. And they always have an Art Deco inspired thing as their album cover. This is a really nice looking release, by the way. The back of it looks pretty good too. And it's a gatefold. Yeah, there you go. Isn't that pretty? It looks super nice. And I have such a connection with Boogie Belgique that I made my own character that I've designed based on their aesthetic and style, named Grinkle. And some of you might know, out of my friends that are watching this, he's actually my background on my computer. If you can see it in the reflection of my Swans poster. But you'd have to look pretty deeply. And that drawing is done by Luca Sundin online. They're a bit overworked, though, so I wouldn't try to commission them right now. But if you want to reach out to them and say hi, tell them I sent you. Luca Sundin is very cool. But yeah, Boogie Belgique's Nightwalker is really fun. Listen to it when you're driving at night or walking at night. It's called Nightwalker after all. Now the next release, when you see my face and you have to guess what one of my favorite albums are, do it right now and see if the next one coming up is what you said. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Alright, so if your answer was Twin Fantasy, you'd be correct. Now, it's not my number one favorite album of all time, but it is one of my favorite albums for basically every reason everyone else has said. It's an album that speaks to me. Also, this is dang it. I can't remember what the names are between them, but this is the 2018 remake. I don't remember what the actual title between them is called, but I really, really, really like this release. The original is much more emotional and effective due to the lore behind it, which I'm not going to get too into because there's a lot of lore to Car Seat Headrest's entire discography. But I love this release. I love the album cover. I know so much about this album. I know how the album cover was made. I love Will Toledo as a audio expert, but also as a person. Actually, I guess I don't really know who they are realistically. I don't have a I'm not a what's the word? I don't know to Will Toledo, but they come across as a person that I could chat with for a long time. I aspire to get into a lot of media that they are interested in. They're a huge deal in the furry community due to the visual effects of Car Seat Headrest music. I really like the band members a lot. Andrew Katz is really cool. This album, it's really hard to get into. This is the gatefold though, and it looks like this, which is also has a drawing done by Will Toledo within it, which I've never seen before. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And there's like a lot of special things here that mention artists and painters and workers. It was like creative artists that inspired the release of this. Not this version, but the original version, and then elements that inspired this. Now, I will say, I prefer most of the tracks, actually all of them. I prefer all the tracks on the remake compared to the original. Some small moments I prefer in the original, such as the interlude at the end of Nervous Young Inhumans. I preferred the original version of that. This one doesn't hit as hard. It still works in the themes of it, but yeah, it's the main thing I can think of. But when I think of, when I kind of think to myself, like, do I really have a reason why I prefer this one? Because I've listened to this one first. But then I remember the ending part of High to Death. And that's what makes this one artistically more interesting and introspective compared to the previous one. This is an album that you listen to from beginning to end, and it's an emotional journey. It's kind of like a rock opera, which is funny to say since Car Seat Headrest's new album, The Scholars, is a rock opera. And I love this album to death. And it's alt-rock, and if it's the kind of thing that might pique your interest, I would highly recommend you listen to it. It's a huge cornerstone, in my opinion, of Gen Z music, and Bandcamp, from Bandcamp to Star, fantastic release. Now, next one is reeks of my previous taste in music. Now, it might be hard to see this, but it doesn't really look like anything if you don't know what this album cover is, but this is Minecraft Volume Beta. There's Minecraft, which is a soundtrack. It's a soundtrack album. A Minecraft Volume Alpha came out for this, and that release is really great. But I think there's harder hitting tracks in Volume Beta. And it's a really nice looking vinyl. I would pull out the vinyls for you to see. But they're super pretty. They're like so nice to look at. They're orange and red, which is like, kind of fits the aesthetic of, the new stuff added to Minecraft, because Volume Beta contains all the music discs and the new tracks that got added to the game around 1.7, I think. I really love Minecraft's old aesthetic. I don't really like what Microsoft has done to it. I know everyone has said that, but do really agree with it. I think Microsoft have really made it too polished. I really like the cruddiness and the sharpness and the grittiness of the original versions of Minecraft. I prefer the original texture pack, even if the new one has a very aesthetically pleasing texture pack. But this still keeps that aesthetic going. And I mean, how can you go wrong with Stall? And Stall is on this release. That's one of the best Minecraft tracks. But realistically, it's actually the end, because I'm a pretentious idiot. The end is the best track on this one, and intro. But don't tell anyone I said that. It's super unique. It's really, like, it's the kind of music you can meditate to. You ascend listening to some of the tracks on here when you kind of disconnect the memeage of Minecraft from it. You know, the Minecraft song parodies, forget about all that. Just let the sounds of the end just swarm you. It's such a beautiful listen. I'd highly recommend listening to it. However, I can't fully recommend this album. Oh, not album. Vinyl release. And why is that? Well, this isn't false advertising. They didn't scam me or anything. It's actually a pretty good vinyl release. The main issue, however, is it is a 2 vinyl release. Let me see, actually. Is it 2 vinyl? Yeah, it's 2 vinyls. The original release on Spotify, or on Bandcamp, or on C418's website, is over 2 hours long, because it's a lot of tracks. Since Volume Alpha didn't have the music discs on it, for example. This release only contains about 60% of the tracks, which is a huge bummer. A huge, huge bummer. Tracks like Haunt Muskie, one of my favorite C418 songs, isn't on it. Floating Trees, one of my favorite tracks, isn't on it. And just those 2 alone really hurt. It really hurts that those aren't on here, because those are fantastic tracks. Let's see. So it has Key, Alpha, Blind Spots, Mutation, Biome Fest, Area Math, Taswell, Beginning 2, Moog City, The End. I could really appreciate them putting The End on here since it's a 15-minute long song. Kyoto, Chirp, Malohi, Stall, 11, Far, and Intro. Now, most of those tracks are really good choices, but can you put Haunt Muskie in there? Like, it just makes me upset. It makes me fume that Haunt Muskie isn't on here, or Floating Trees. Those 2 tracks are so good. Makes me upset. But it's still a pretty nice vinyl release, and I don't have the holographic cover one, but that one looks very pretty. They're very limited releases, so I have that one because I had to buy it as soon as it was brought back into stock. Next up is one of the first artists I've ever gotten into, from when I was technically 5 years old. Discovery by Daft Punk. What can be said about it hasn't been already said. One of the most popular, wildly appealing album releases of all time, in my opinion at least. Daft Punk are one of the best electronic musicians, duos of all time. They've really paved the way for a lot of electronic music, and Discovery has to be their most consistent album they've ever made. Homework is great. I still really like Homework. It's a little bit sluggish in some moments, and you have to be in the right mood to listen to it. But this is, ooh, so good. Every song on here is perfect. Like, seriously. Aerodynamic. One more time. That's the first track. Aerodynamic, Digital Love, Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger, Crescendos, Night Vision, Superheroes, High Life, Something About Us, Voyager, Veridis Quo, Short Circuit, Face to Face, and Too Long. Maybe Too Long is a track that's a bit too long. I bet nobody else has ever made a joke like that. But it's still quite a bop. I do appreciate Too Long. I think it's a cool closer. But yeah, this album is so good. And if you haven't listened to it, you're not watching this video, because you have probably as many times as I have. Hundreds of times. Hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of times. Such a good album. However, this release is very reflective and kind of ugly. Yeah, it sounds really good. Like, there's nothing wrong with the vinyl quality, but yeah, like, it's super reflective, and I feel like it'd be much more effective if this was matte, and then the silver, spelling out the name, could be reflective. But the whole thing is kind of just like a mesh. It's just like kind of paved on here. It is a gatefold, by the way, but it's not too interesting of a gatefold. It's got some cool art. Kind of looks like their Daft Club album cover a bit. It actually might be the Daft Club album cover, but just not stretched out and blurred. But it has lyric sheets in there. It's a pretty good release. I really appreciate it. I love the album to death. Next up. Oops. 2 Daft Punk albums. So I have a funny story about this one. So almost the moment after I bought Random Access Memories on vinyl, it wasn't this one, it was the original version that didn't have this crystal effect on it. Then they announced this, and there were pre-orders for the vinyl that were put up. And I was like, well, god damn it, I guess I have to get this version instead. And I ended up giving my Random Access Memories original to my friend Blair. Love you, Blair. And this release is really great. It's so good. So, like, possibly one of the highest quality sounding albums ever. It's a disco album, which is different compared to I was say Radiohead. What Daft Punk usually do. It was kind of a sudden change for a lot of people, but I think it's really welcome. They've brought their previous genres into a suave, jazzy sound really effectively, and this version is the 10th anniversary version, released in 2023, and it has a lot of really nice bonus tracks on it, and definitely one of my favorites being Infinity Repeating. That demo is peak. It sounds so good. But this album is just full of like songs that absolutely slap. It's got Get Lucky on there, which is amazing. It's got, I could just name any of them. Yeah, Game of Love is great. One of my favorite songs for a long time was Touch off of this album. It was just like a beautiful crescendo of music and sound, and oh god, it makes me so happy to think about. This is a great album. You know, highly recommend it to almost anyone because it's just good. In fact, you probably have heard like most of the songs. Also, this album I like so much. It came with a poster. Let's see if I can move this camera. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Right there, as you can see, I have Lose Yourself to Dance. I want to say Love Yourself to Dance right behind me. So that's pretty neat. And my camera broke. Okay. Well, I don't know how that happened. Maybe if I actually unplug it and plug it in, will that fix it? I wonder. Technical difficulties. I apologize for this. Let's see. I don't know if it'll still keep recording. Okay. I'm doing all the slides. No in camera editing. There we go. All right. I guess I figured out a way to fix it. So thank you for bearing with me. We're going to continue. Thank Christ I figured out how to fix that. Now, I'm going to get on to another artist I got really, really into. One of the first bands, possibly the first ever band I got into, actually, which is pretty exciting. It wasn't Chrissy Headrest, that was much later. This is Gorillaz, self-titled. Now this is like far from the kind of Gorillaz album people would think of first as their favorite. This one is my favorite. And I'm not trying to be a hipster, I promise. I think every song on this is really interestingly made, and it has such a unique atmosphere I can just fall into and love. It has a bit of a trip-hop thing going on, and I love trip-hop. Trip-hop is one of my favorite genres, so that might be why I like it a lot. It's got a lot of really great guest appearances on it, a lot of really great sounds on it, and the bonus tracks make it a 10. Without the bonus tracks, probably a 9 out of 10. But, you know, Latin Simone is like Que pasa contigo. That version of that song from the G-sides is so good. It's so good. I used to not be a big fan of it, which is crazy to think, because it's so good now. But, you know, it's got a lot of classics on it, such as, you know, 5-4, Clint Eastwood, of course, Rock the House, 19 to 2000, M1A1, you know. My least favorite track on here, however, though, is the bonus track at the end, which is just a remix of Clint Eastwood by, who was it by? Ed Case. And no harm towards Ed Case, okay? But I just find the remix really unappealing, and I feel like they could have put Dracula on there instead, along with, what's that last track called? It's the one with like the bong hit sound. I forget what it's called. What is that video called? Not video, song called? It's like a music learning tool for children. I don't remember what it's called though. It's driving me nuts now, and now I can't remember it. But that's a really great closing track on this album, and it's just not here, which is a shame. They made space for the Ed Case remix of Clint Eastwood, which maybe more people enjoy, and if so, that's cool, but I don't really care for it. But there is a cool thing about that song on here, that being at the end of side D, it infinitely spins, not on a note or anything, it just spins forever, until you pick it up and move it a little bit and put it back down, then the remix plays. So it, like, you have to kind of purposefully play it to actually have it happen. I've never seen an album do that, a vinyl album do that, which is cool. I've seen ones that infinitely loop, such as Twin Fantasy. That one loops on the last song, which again I think is really interesting and cool. But this one does it in a way I never thought you could do, which is pretty neat. I keep bonking my nuzzle, it kind of hurts. Now, the next release. It's hard to pick up stuff. This human world, I mean, we don't really think for us, furries. Oh yeah, it's also, wait, hold on. The self-titled is a gatefold. It's hard to, oh jeez. Ooh. I don't have the best setup for this if it wasn't clear. It's also a gatefold. And it's pretty colorful. I like it. I like seeing, let's see, artists in, the Elevator, no, it's not, what was his name? So there's Damon Albarn and, dang it, hold on. Come on. What is the artist's name? Maybe it's on the back. What's his name? You can look it up and you'll find it, but Jamie Hewlett. Jamie Hewlett's art, I really like his art in this era of Gorillaz. It was very like harsh and rough, and like had an unappealing color palette, and the multimedia aesthetic of the time was really nice. If you want to watch MTV Cribs, starring Gorillaz, Murdoch Nichols shows around the Gorillaz office. It's a great video, and it's like so drenched in early 2000s charm. You should totally check it out. It's really good. It's on YouTube, and it's uploaded by Gorillaz. But yeah. After that, however, totally gonna be a different artist. Oh wait. Welcome to the World of Plastic Beach. This is technically the first Gorillaz album I've listened to, but I never finished it in that listening, and I was too much of a nitty-picky at the time, because I was too obsessed with C418. But eventually I listened to this, and it's by far one of my favorite listening experiences I've ever had with an album. So many bits I just remember from like hearing it back then. The sound of this album is super unique, and it was a bit of a hidden gem for a while due to the fact that this album did not do very well at the time. You can watch Lady Emily's video on it. It's a pretty good video. It also was just cool seeing, oh my god, Gorillaz, I love Gorillaz. And I do love Demon Days, by the way. I just don't own it on vinyl. This also has probably my favorite versions of the characters from Gorillaz. I think it's my favorite designs. The story was really good, even if it has a ton of hiccups in terms of continuity and some like rewrites. I still think it works out. I love the album cover on this, and I purposely bought the day version since the night version is the default on digital. So it's like, oh, I have the alternate version here. Unfortunately, for me, the one of the bonus tracks on it came out a little bit after I bought this, so another one of those experiences. It also comes with really nice art prints on the vinyls themselves. Oh, the sleeves for the vinyls, but I'm not gonna show that because my nubby paws are hard to pull them out in this setting. But yeah, this is a great album. I highly recommend it. It's only get less and less stuff to say about each one. The beach aesthetic is amazing, and there's a lot of classic songs on it, and most of them you might not have heard before since the album didn't do very well when it was released. Now this one is a doozy. Actually, how about I do a part 2 of this video? How about that? Because it is getting pretty late for me here. If you couldn't tell, it is night time in my time zone. It is quite hot in here as well. I gotta get my doors open, my window open, let the cold air in, and I'd love to keep talking about these, such as this album, a little sneak peek. Ooh, actually, you just saw the title. Yeah, it definitely isn't Janelle Monáe's Archandroid. I'd love to keep talking about these, but I'm recording this very late, unlike the previous ones, and this video is going on for 40 minutes, and all those technical issues that I had to fix were a problem. Also, I increased the volume of the mic for this one. I hope it doesn't sound horrible or is too grating on the ears. If it is, let me know. And I'm starting to get video making a little bit more, even though I used to know how to edit and made a lot of videos in my past. This YouTube channel used to be full of videos I made with my friends for fun, and I was more of an extra in them, I guess. But it was me and my brother and some friends, and we made some videos together. My brother did all the editing, but I knew how to edit as well because I was at high school for that, and yeah, I've unlisted a lot of those because they're not very good, and also they expose stuff like where we lived at the time, and I don't know about having videos like that up for everyone to see. I guess it's not a huge deal since this video is pretty, well, this channel in general is pretty unpopular. 27 subscribers. 27 subscribers, man. But anyway, thank you for watching this far, and I hope you're excited for part 2 tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.